than maybe what we're thinking. You know, you have a half-mile zone around these congested areas. Trapping occurs just outside of that half-mile zone. Certainly there's going to be an impact into that zone, the animals that are drawn to the traps or however that might go. So I don't look at it as just a restricted area that's half-mile period. You know, certainly there's going to be some influence in those areas. And I think that it does strike a balance. You know, everybody would like to have their animals roam as we're hiking the trails and things of that nature. People do have responsibilities to keep their animals safe. You know, if we're in town, we don't just let them run across the street and expect them not to get hit by a car. And you know, that doesn't mean that signage and stuff's not applicable at some point, or the discussions off. You know, but the point is that you know, the private property issue was a real important one for me, in the sense that you know, people are trapping on their private property. They're assuming some liabilities. If people allow their animals to roam and not control them going onto private property, and you know, we know they can't read signs and they can't determine where those lines are, everybody's assuming some liabilities. I don't think this commission has a dog in that fight, if you will. Maybe a bad analogy, but the point is that everybody's assuming some liabilities, and I think they can work that out in court. So that's why I would support a half-mile at this point. So,
Commissioner Drew.
Yeah, I'm struggling a little bit with this one myself. Commissioner McNinch makes some good points in that, you know, we're talking about a residence and not a transitory trail or something like that. And it may warrant a little bit bigger offset than what we've used on some of the trails. What I struggle with is the Clark County aspect of this, because I know things are a little different down there. And when we worked through our committee, it seemed like everyone was really acceptable to a half-mile. And I think Commissioner Wallace, in addition to the committee members, and Commissioner Macbeth sat through that committee meeting, and at the end, most everyone in attendance was somewhat agreeable to a half-mile. I don't know that I would support anything over well, and that being said, then the cabs come back with 1,000 feet or 500 feet. So we're kind of all over the board here. So I guess what I would say is I'm not agreeable to going over a half-mile, and I'm not agreeable to going under 1,000 feet. And I'd be willing at some point here, I agree with what Commissioner Raines is saying. I think we should get the distance out of the way first and then finish up the rest of the motion either way. But I'd be inclined to stick with what our committee recommended first at a half-mile, see where that goes with the flavor of the commission, and then come back if that doesn't work with the 1,000 feet.
Commissioner Wallace.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sitting here listening to this, excuse me, 1,000 feet doesn't seem like a whole long ways, but when it was put in perspective, I never really thought about it until it was put into perspective of 72 acres. And that's a vast amount of land when you start talking within the city. And I think a half-a-mile is my uppermost limit. 1,000 feet I would prefer. But when it was put in that perspective for me to visualize it, that's a large area. And most trappers aren't going to want to be within 1,000 feet of a home anyway. I don't think. I mean, 1,000 feet, if I saw that, I wouldn't want to be there. But that's kind of my thinking on that. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. I think I've kind of come to my decision on the distance, and you have to listen to everybody. I think I'm going to be maybe just the opposite of Commissioner Wallace. I'm going to say I'm going to vote for half a mile. I'll tell you why. But my absolute minimum is 1,000 feet. So just flipping it on that. But this is the reason I'm going to go with a half mile. One, because I think our committee has worked very hard and been there in all the testimony and took a lot of things into account. And that's what they've decided on. So at this point, I think I'd respect that. The second thing is that Mr. Blakesley is pretty much admitted that I don't think that the trappers would have any heartburn over a half a mile, because the vast majority of them are going to be trapping there. And the third reason would be that you know, if it does end up at the legislature, a half mile looks a heck of a lot better than 1,000 feet. You know, to a legislator that's on the fence. And so those would be my reasons, and, but I wouldn't, I'll be honest, I wouldn't lose any heartburn over 1,000 feet either, so, anyway. Because I think, there's, I do kind of like this, the explanation of seeing a coyote in a trap, out the kitchen window. That was pretty good. So, anyway. So, okay, well,
You ready?
so what, hold on.
Yeah, I would be willing to forward a motion in the spirit of what the committee came up with of a half mile.
Okay, that's a motion?
That's a motion.
Okay. Second. Okay, well, motion and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote.
A clarification, this is only distance.
Only distance.
In section 2, there's only one sentence there. To put that in is a half mile, okay. And then we'll deal with the regulations whole later. Okay.
Right. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, passes 5-3. Okay, so we're at a half mile. So let's go ahead and open it up for discussion on the rest of it. I think there were some good comments. I'll open it up with the change that was made. I think we all kind of agreed on was in that section 2, striking of Clark County or Washoe County and inserting designated by a county with a population of 100,000 or more. And then we have the definition that basically says Clark and Washoe County. So where is everybody on that? Are you unanimous on that? Okay.
Personally, I'm good.
Everybody's good on that one. I thought that the suggestion from the pest control group to strike the entire sentence, it's nothing in this section is intended to prevent a person from controlling unprotected mice using a mousetrap in or about their residence. I tend to agree that 1C, person trapping on private property, swallows that. And so I'm not seeing the need for it.
Mr. Chairman, could we ask Rob to come up? Because we have vacillated back and forth on this one a few times. And I just want to make sure that we don't lose sight of all of our discussion, because we've kind of gone back and forth. We've included it, we took it out.
For the record, Rob Bonamici, Chief Game Warden. Regards to the mouse issue, the mice issue, we had it in there originally because originally we did not have a private property exemption. We inserted the private property exemption. We removed the requirement for mice because they occur primarily on private property where people trap them, or rats, or what have you, gophers. And as a result of an individual that insisted that we include that in here, it was put back in here.
Did he give a reason, or he or she give a reason?
It was mostly to point out the shortcomings of our, or potential loopholes or gaps in our regulation. A trap was presented during the meeting. Where does this fall? It was a very large rat trap. Is this legal or illegal? So this was really included to kind of address that particular issue. And I don't know if it was necessary. I don't know if it was, might have been a little tit for tat going on.
Yeah.
Possibly. So, it's something that, as a point was made, you can't identify every last thing out there. You just can't. You can't capture everything. So there's probably going to be inherently some areas where, law enforcement's going to have to make some decisions. And I think the intent that we've established in this reg and through these deliberations and these discussions is clear.
I can tell you from an enforcement standpoint, whether it's in there or out of there, it's not going to change the way we enforce things.
Okay.
We've never issued a citation for somebody trapping mice in
Okay.
the history of this agency.
But what if you leave it as a mouse advocate?
Well, they're up there, Paul. Make light of it.
Good.
We don't have any mice on the panel. Sorry.
Okay, well, I just throw it out as I thought it was a good idea, and it kind of sounds like that. So what does everybody think about that one?
Yeah. Do you want to make this motion?
Take it out?
Or do you want me to?
Commissioner McNinch, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah.
Okay.
So you're proposing to take out nothing at this time?
Yeah.
Nothing through residents?
Right.
Could you give me the number and the letter again?
It would
It's
be-
basically the flush language on number 1, down at the bottom, that very last part of, says starts with nothing, out on the margin. Nothing in this section is intended to prevent a person from controlling unprotected mice using a mousetrap in or about their residence. And then I guess we got to go down to C, and we got to eliminate mousetrap, right?
All of C.
All of C,
2C.
and then redesignate D and E as C and D.
Little C. All nothing. Yeah. D becomes C, and E becomes D, or E. D.
Okay, so, that's all I have. So anybody else have any other issues with the regulation?
At least let's vote on them, and then if somebody's got something else.
Would you like to go down each subsection, each piece? Okay, why don't we do that? So with that in mind, I'll go ahead and try to clean up the section 2 here. I'm going to make reference to section 2, not any of the subparts, but where we have the half mile of residence. So I would make a motion to approve section 2. It would read as follows: except as otherwise provided in this section, it is unlawful for a person to set a trap other than a box or cage trap within half mile of a residence within the congested areas. It's designated by a county with a population of 100,000 or more.
Second.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on that one? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, it's a 7 or 8-1.
About the half mile.
Okay, go ahead, next section.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve, I guess we can do the cleanup here, section 1, which would read Chapter 503 of NAC is hereby amended by adding thereto section 2, inclusive of this regulation, to read as follows. I guess we should have done that initially. So, to approve that as it reads.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any other discussion on that one? Okay, go ahead, call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That one passes.
I would make a motion that we approve section 2, subsection 1A. It would read, the provisions of this section do not apply to an employee of the department, federal, state, or local government acting in an official capacity for the purpose of depredation or wildlife control.
Got a motion?
Keep going.
Yeah.
Would you like me, okay, I'll keep going. I'll continue with my motion. So 1B would read, a person trapping under the written authority issued by a government agency that specifically authorizes the take of wildlife for depredation or control purposes. C, a person trapping on private property. You guys like to include with permission from the owner? Okay, we will include with permission from the owner.
Yeah. No, 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 no.
Isn't that
no.
assumed because it would be a
Yes.
trespass
All right,
otherwise?
so we'll
Yeah.
just leave it as it reads, a person trapping on private property. And D, a person trapping in a waterway outside city limits.
Must contain water.
Ex-
Well, that's a definition.
Perfect. A second.
Second.
By definition.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on
Just
that
for
portion?
clarification, that is the entire section as it is, striking everything after nothing, as it is presented to us.
Yes.
We're good. 1, A, B, C, D. Thank you.
As clarified?
Just
And
so everybody knows.
And I don't know if this is a proper time, but I know there's been questions and concerns with the waterway issue. And Rob, maybe we can help clarify what it means by the waterway here. That this is an exemption, a person trapping in a waterway outside city limits. So within the city limits, there's no exemption. Everybody? That's the chairman.
Does somebody have a question?
Question from Joel.
Can I address one thing before we pass this whole thing? The guys in Las Vegas wanted the firearms restricted area and not just the congested area. That's a problematic thing down there because of Boulder City.
Maybe if we have to come back and discuss that, but this motion doesn't include that, I don't think, does it?
Okay, so we're gonna have to come back, we'll come back to that. Okay, so any other questions, clarifications? Okay, so I got a motion and a second, right? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, why don't you go ahead and do two, and then we'll come back up.
So I'd make a motion to to adopt Section 2, subsection 2, which would read as follows. As used in this section, box A, box or cage trap means any device designed to contain or confine an animal within a box or cage. Any device designed, built, or made to close upon any portion of an animal shall not be considered a box or cage trap. B, residence means any house, room, apartment, tenement, or other building designed and intended for occupancy as a residence. C, county with a population of 100,000 or more means Washoe County and Clark County. D, waterway means any river, stream, canal, or channel that contains water.
Okay,
Second?
okay, got a motion, got a second, any discussion on that one? Okay, seeing none, go ahead and call for the vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, so let's go back up to Section 2. Joel, I do recall that. You agree with that, right?
It's in my
Yeah.
action report to you. It's specific when we said a distance, but it was the firearms congested zone. I'll come up to speaker so that I'm on the record officially. Paul Dixon, Clark Cab. When we discussed that, because Boulder City encompasses a large area and congested zone is the city limits, and the city limits are huge, we wanted to have the firearms restricted zone, which deals with where you have population. In Clark County, itself, it's about the same. The congested and firearm zone are almost equivalent. But when you get to Boulder City has things that head out towards Searchlight in the mountains and down to the river mountains, which is part of Boulder City Incorporated, but it's not really congested. I mean, we wouldn't be what we call congested, although it's under the definition would be. That's why firearms restriction stuck that back more towards the city where you had people.
Question for Mr. Dixon?
Yes, sir.
Can you please suggest language to accomplish what you're saying?
I think just put the word firearm in front of congested, right?
For Clark County only?
Yeah.
For Clark County
For Clark
only?
County, you would put
No,
firearm.
wouldn't that work for Washoe County
I
too?
would prefer Washoe said the firearms congested area.
If you don't want to have somebody trapping where they can shoot a gun. You can't shoot a gun, you shouldn't be able to trap there.
I'm asking for specific language for the regulations so I'm straight.
Okay. Joel, do you want to come up?
Defines congested area. Yeah. There's a very well-defined map of the firearms congested area in Washoe County. And that's what we've always been talking about. So we just put the word firearms in front of congested.
And I think, won't that work for Las Vegas too?
No, firearms restricted area. is
Okay, so-
the words they wanted.
Rob, do you have those maps? Because the only map that I could get my hands on that showed a firearm restricted area in Clark County was a BLM map, and it was very specific on a BLM map. I could not find one on. We struggled over this map issue, and the best map I came up with was the BLM map. What do you got there?
That's for Clark, that one.
Okay, I've got a comprehensive planning, Title 12, illegal firearms discharge area.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask a question, Rob, help us out here for just a second. Maybe I'm had too long a day. If Section 2, if we had, this says within half mile of a residence within the congested areas. Okay, what if it's within a mile of a residence within the congested areas. See what I'm saying?
No.
Okay, it says within, except as otherwise provided in this section, it is unlawful for a person to set a trap other than a box or cage trap. Okay, now typically when we draw our vision, we're drawing our vision of residences being within this congested area,
Right.
period. And what we're talking about down south in Boulder is that we have residences, but then we have this extended congested area beyond that. Okay? So we don't have residences right up to the borders of our congested area per se. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh, okay. What, if we had, so this isn't necessarily saying that it's prohibited in congested areas, it's saying it's prohibited within a half mile of a residence within the congested area. What if it, so down here, what if you're outside of that half mile zone away from a residence, you're still in a congested area, wouldn't this still work?
How about this as a solution? Why don't we leave the language up in section 2 exactly as it is, and then come down in the subsection 2 section and add a definition for E that defines congested area, and basically would read congested area, let me see if I can just write it as I think about it, means, I'm just throwing this out, means the firearms congested area of Washoe County or the
And the
illegal firearms discharge area in Clark County. I'm taking that language right off a map that looks like the official Clark County map for the illegal firearms discharge area.
I asked those guys, I said, I don't understand it, and they told me firearms restricted area.
Yeah, I think that's what they're talking about, because it includes Boulder City. I see, it's right here. Do you want it? Come here. I'd feel more comfortable if you looked at this.
So honestly, I don't know what I'm looking at. That's the problem.
But I mean, just to get comfortable with,
Okay, where's Boulder City?
Boulder City's right here.
Okay, see, all of this, I think that the houses are in here. Yeah, yes.
Let me see, what is the county portion?
But there's,
Did your wife come incorporated?
Did your wife come in and down with you?
We're talking about just the
How much that
marine.
sounds like boys night out.
That's what I'm saying, so this is undeveloped.
Or no, that's a county portion, and then
Remember, Clark County.
She'll be done with dinner in time enough to give us a ride home.
I don't understand it.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a suggestion? We should recess.
okay. We're gonna recess and look at some maps, and then we'll be back. Let's say 5 or 10 minutes. We'll talk about it.
yeah, no, but that's not the extra. It has
I'll just
something
on
to
this,
do
Rob, is, you know, make sure I'm not screwed up when I vote on what you tell me to do. I'm gonna do it. Tell me what to do.
This is just correction.
It's always helpful.
No, we can make that out now.
Whiskey, everything else,
Yeah. Okay. Here's another map. Okay, so I got this one. So these are all the
Yeah, you're not gonna have that.
Vegas. Yeah, we're not.